Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then welcome. My name is Pompberry, and today I'm gonna be doing a Valentine slash anti-Valentine's Day look. And my nails just hit each other. I love the little sound they make. But yes, I do know that I look a little odd because I have blocked out my brows. If you want to learn how to do that, I have an entire video on how to do that you can watch by clicking right up here. The only difference is I added a layer of Prozaid, which is a prosthetic adhesive, over top of the glue stick and then powdered it, and that's it. And today's look is based on a tattoo design. It's a quite classic tattoo design that you probably have seen over and over again. It's a crying heart. I've seen a bunch of other people do this as a makeup look as well, but today I'm going to try to keep it as faithful to the original tattoo designs as possible. So I'm going to jump straight into it, but please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps out the channel and I really appreciate it. So Valentine's Day. I don't know if this video is actually coming up before that date because it is my 30th birthday on February 11th. Oh, I still can't believe it. So I thought I'd take kind of like not the entire week off, but at least a few days off. So I don't know when this video is coming out. If it's after Valentine's Day, I apologize. If it's before, well then I managed to get a bit of work done during my birthday week. So today, to keep things easy and simple for me, I'm going to be following a face chart that I created myself, and it's this face chart right up here. I referenced a few different tattoo designs for this, but I wanted to keep it very faithful to the classic old school tattoos. And another reason I wanted to do this look is because I am learning how to tattoo, so you know, two worlds combined. And I've done that before. I've turned other tattoos into makeup looks. I've been doing that for years. So it's something that I love to do and I haven't done in a really long time. This time I'm not following one specific tattoo. I kind of just grabbed elements from different designs and made up my own. But one thing I knew that I wanted to do was the big exaggerated eyes. And so I'm going to be drawing the eyes under my own eyes. And I'm actually going to start out by just mapping everything out with a white liner. I'm just going to be using the ColourPop Creme Gel Liner for this in the color Exit, because red is a tricky color to work with. If you've seen my other red looks like him from Powerpuff Girls, you'll know that I actually hate working with red. It's the face paint that has the weirdest consistency. Like, I don't know what it is about formulating red face paints, but they're always like super tricky, at least the ones that I've used. So before I get to painting, I want to make sure that everything is just kind of like perfectly mapped out where it needs to be. So I'm just following the reference for this. I'm going to try to make this as symmetrical as possible. A lot of people ask me how I get things to be so symmetrical, and there is no trick. It's just a lot of training. You have to do it and do it and do it over and over again, and you just have to train your eye. But the good news is the more you do it, the easier it gets. And the reason I'm using a white pencil is because it's easy to wipe off if I make any mistakes. If you have a darker skin tone, I would recommend using something that is closer to your skin shade, but basically the white can just camouflage itself in once I start painting. If it shows up a little bit, it's not a big deal. I can just paint over it, but it doesn't have to be white necessarily. You can just choose something that is close to your skin tone. Now that it's mapped out, I'm going to do foundation just on the outside of the heart just to even out my skin tone there. I'm just going in with the Dose of Colors Meet Your Hue foundation. My color is 111, and I'm just taking that on a little flat brush so that I can be more precise with the application. Now I'm just going in with a powder foundation to set the areas where I used the liquid foundation, mainly just on my forehead because I get pretty oily here. And this is the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Skin Foundation. You can see just how mattifying it is. It's kind of crazy, but I'll use it around here because why not? We'll go for a fully matte look today. Now, because red is such a finicky color, I'm going to start working from my lightest color, which is my white, then move on to the darkest, which is black. And for my white, I'm going to be using the Suva Beauty Hydra Liner in the color Space Panda. And this is a water activated liner. I just dropped a couple drops of water in here and I'm really working it in to activate the product. And the reason I'm going in with white first is because if I had the red on my skin right now and I were to do the white after, the white could mix with the red and turn pink. And I really don't want that. I want to keep my colors pure. So I'm going in first with the white and just filling in all the areas that require the white. And this little tiny brush is not the best for filling in an area. This is more just so I can be precise with the lines. You can switch to a flat brush to fill in bigger areas, but I'm just working with this. After filling it in, I felt like the shape was maybe a little too big. So I'm just going in with makeup remover on a little Q-tip and just cleaning up the shape. This is another reason to do white first, because you can figure things out and erase them quite easily without making such a huge mess. Okay, now that I've done the eyes, this product does not need setting, but I'm gonna set it anyways, just because I want a little more opacity there. I want it to be a little bit whiter. You could do this with a cream product, but I just chose to go with a water activated one. And now I'm just taking Sugar Pills Taco and just stamping that right over top. And I'm not going to do that on the tears. I'm just doing this around the eyes because there's movement here and the liner tends to like crack a little bit. And I'm just hoping that this shadow helps to combat that a little bit. Now just more of the same. I'm just going to go ahead and fill in the teardrops. And to get the coverage to be pretty nice and even, you usually need more than one layer. So I like to apply a somewhat thin layer and let it dry and then go over it with a second one to make sure it's as opaque and as even as possible. Now that the white is all filled in, it's time to fill in the red, and I'm so not looking forward to this. But today I'm actually going to try out a different product. I'm going to be using the Mayron Paradise paint in the color Beachberry. It's just a red, but I've never used the red Paradise paint before, so I don't know how it's formulated. And a lot of you have asked me about the face paints from Made You Look. I haven't gotten to buy those just yet, but I do want to buy them at some point and try them out. But for now, I'm just trying the Paradise paint. I usually use the Wolf paints. What is this? This is all dirty. Hold on. Oh no. There's like some yellow liquid in the cap that's kind of like oily. I don't know. I've had this for a while and I've never used it. It smells fine. I don't know what this is. This was like in my kit. I don't know. Anyway, as I was saying, I usually use the Wolf Paradise paint, but because it is a wax-based paint, it has a different texture than a glycerin-based paint, which is the Mayron Paradise paint. Ooh, this is promising. This is feeling more like a regular traditional face paint. And the Red Wolf one is not. It's kind of translucent, which is a huge bummer. But let's see with this one. Let's see how this goes. One way I can tell translucency is if it will cover up my brows. It doesn't seem like it's covering my brows. It does seem to be a little translucent. For some reason, that's just the way that red paints go. If this was any other color, it would probably cover my brows. So I'm gonna have to figure that out. We'll see, we'll see. But the texture so far does not seem patchy. It seems pretty good to me. So I'm just going to carefully fill in around the white. I don't want to touch the white because, as I said, I do not want to create pink. And there will be black lines as well, so I don't have to go right up to the white, which is good because then I don't risk mixing up the two colors. Okay, I'm gonna go with another layer. I might just try to do a bunch of layers on my brow, and I know that probably won't work, but I might just do that to try to cover it up. We shall see. We shall see. And if you don't know a whole lot about face paints and would like to learn more about the different kinds of face paints and all of that, I do have a video just dedicated to that up on my Patreon. So if you're interested, I have a face paint 101, I have a grease paint 101, and an alcohol paints 101. My Patreon is full of very kind of educational videos. I try to focus a lot on education over there. So if that's your jam, I would highly recommend checking it out. I'm currently working on a color theory series for Patreon. I'm kind of covering all things color theory in regards to makeup. So I'm really excited about those videos. I'm still working on the first one in the series, but there will be multiple videos in the series. So this paint does seem to be a little bit translucent, but I'm finding it not as patchy as the wolf one, which is great. And I did manage to cover my brow just by doing lots of layers. The one thing that you do have to be careful though is to not reactivate the layer that's underneath so that it doesn't cause any patches or anything. So I'm going very, very light-handed, and I'm mixing less water into it, so I'm going with a thicker consistency of paint to try to cover up my brow. And I'm just working in like very tiny layers, trying to not disturb what's underneath. It's pretty hard to do, I'm not gonna lie, but it works in a pinch. I'm not going to paint my lips with this, but I do want to just paint the outer corners of the bottom lip, because the bottom lip is going to be narrower than my lip. So I'm just going to do that, and then the red is done. That was actually easier than I thought it would be. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the black outlines, and for that I'm going to be using the Suva Beauty Hydro Liner in the color Grease, and I'm going to be using a liner paintbrush for this. You could also use like a nail art brush. You'll find that they're really, really long, and the reason for that is they allow you to make much straighter and more precise lines. So this is not a makeup brush, it is a paintbrush. It's honestly the best for doing precise line work. And again, I just dropped a couple drops of water in here and I'm working that into the product. And I'm going to start with like a low-key area. I don't want to start like right smack in the middle of my face. I want to get used to drawing lines. So I'm going to do like the outside here of the heart, and I just realized I didn't fill this all the way in. What the? Why am I like this? Okay, so start with somewhere low profile so that your hand can get used to drawing the lines, and you probably don't want to breathe for this. Okay, pretty good. It got away from me a little bit down here, but that's fixable. And you want the consistency to be pretty liquid, but not too liquid that it starts dripping on your face. And it can't be too liquid that it's not pigmented enough. It's a pretty decent line, pretty happy with that. And now I can start moving towards some more higher profile areas of the face. And it's totally fine if you see some of the white pencil. I'm going to clean that up once I'm done. A lot of you have been asking about my tattoo journey, and I do plan on making tattoo related videos as well. But one thing that's funny to me is, you know how I started with the white and then I'm doing the black last? Well, when you tattoo, it's the opposite. You start with your darkest colors first, so you always start with black. And that has been a major learning curve to make that shift. I've always started lightest to darkest, no matter if it was with makeup, with painting, and now to have to do the complete opposite is quite challenging, but I'm getting the hang of it, slowly but surely. You'll see that I'm able to get really, really straight and precise lines, and it's the brush doing all the work for me. Obviously, I still need to have a steady hand, and I need to preferably not talk while I do this, but I would not be able to do what I'm doing without this brush. I mean, I might be able to do it, but it would be a lot harder. Another tip is to stabilize your hand and then move your head instead, because your hand can get really shaky. So for example, this line, I did it by keeping my hand right here and then just slowly moving my head. And a lot of people ask me like, oh, isn't it super hard to do makeup on yourself? And I always say, no, it's a lot easier to do makeup on myself than other people. And a lot of people are shocked by that. But it's because I can do this type of thing where if I was doing makeup on someone else, I'd have to have a super stable hand and my arm would be out like this, having nothing to stabilize it on. Whereas when I'm doing makeup on myself, I can put my elbow down somewhere, I can stabilize my arm on my body, I can move my head to help with line work. So it's quite different doing makeup on someone else. It is much harder. I will say one thing to be careful with when using this type of brush is that they're not necessarily good for doing small lines. They're great for doing long straight lines, but if you want to do something like a curve, it can get a little bit tricky and it can kind of slip away from you. So I would recommend switching to a shorter type of liner brush like this. So far I haven't switched just yet, but it is tricky doing these little curves with this brush, but I'm just taking my time and going real slow. Also, the lighter the touch, the thinner the line will be. So when I get to these little edges, I do a super light touch, and then when I want the line to be a little thicker, all I have to do is add a little more pressure to the brush. And I'm not going to be using this liner on my lids. Gonna bring it up here, and then on the lid I'm gonna use something else because, as I said, this product does have a tendency to crack wherever there's movement, so I don't like it for my lid area that much, but I will use it to outline the rest. Now I'm going to switch over to a shorter brush so that I can fill in the pupils, and hopefully this illusion will kind of work where it just looks like my eyes are super big once I have my waterline painted white as well. Once everything is said and done, it just kind of makes you look like your eye is gigantic. And I want to be very careful because this area has a lot of mobility here. I'm not using a very wet consistency because I don't want it to kind of bleed into the lines under my eyes. I probably should have used maybe like a gel liner for this, but I was already using this product, so I figured why not stick with it. Now for my lid, I'm going in with the House Labs liquid eyeliner in the color Punk. It's just the black, and I'm going to fully fill my top lid in. I'm not going above the crease. I just want the area that's visible when my eye is open to be black. That's pretty much it. And you want to use something for this that doesn't crease. That's pretty matte. And I'm going to wait for this to fully dry before I open my eye again. You could even set it with some eyeshadow if you're really worried about creasing or transferring. I might actually just use literally a hint of translucent powder just to make sure there's no creasing in this area. I also want to quickly mattify the red around my nose. I thought this face paint would be a little bit matter, but all you need is a little bit of translucent powder and then you can get rid of that shine. Don't need a ton because if you use a lot, you can make the red look really dull. It's funny because my camera isn't recognizing my face anymore, so it's not even like trying to focus on me. But anyway, now I'm gonna do the lips. For the bottom lip, I'm gonna be using Sugarpill's Nurse Liquid Lipstick, and I'm just going to apply that in the middle. It's got a slightly darker color than the rest of the red on my face, but I'm not mad at that. I don't mind there having a difference. I actually kind of like it. That's why I chose not to use the face paint on my lips. And this is going to be a very exaggerated lip. I'm going to be outlining it with black. And I want to make sure that is completely dry before I do my top lip because I don't want the two colors mixing. And once it's dry, just to make sure there's no excess, I'm just taking a little cotton pad and just blotting it off and making sure I am good to go. Now for the top lip, I'm going to be using a black, and as always, I'm using Black Moon Cosmetics Sleepwalker lipstick. It is my go-to black, and I'm going to be applying this with a lip brush so that I can be really precise. So I'm going to take some on the back of my hand, and I want the top lip to be wider than the bottom lip. And I'm really going to exaggerate the Cupid's bow and the shape of the lips in general, really rounding them off, kind of in keeping with the heart shape. Once I've got the Cupid bow area pretty much done, then I can move on to the outer corners. They're going to be exaggerated as well. I'm also going to try not to talk while I do this so that the black doesn't transfer onto my bottom lip. Once that's done, I'm going to finish off the lips with the black liner again. I'm just going to take it on the long liner brush, and I'm going to do two little lines on the edge of the top lip, just very, very cartoony. And then I'm also going to trace the bottom lip. Oh, that tickles. Oh, I hate it. I hate it so much. And I'm really going to thicken up this line so that it's pretty visible. Oh, that is so cute. I actually really love these lips. Now I have one last bit of line work to do, and it's the eyebrows. And I just haven't done it yet because honestly, I was a little bit scared. But gotta do it at some point. So I'm doing very, very rounded brows. I'm gonna take the excess off of my brush to make sure the lines aren't too thick. And I kind of want to start it where the eye starts and end it where the eye ends. Then I'm just going to really just round them out, kind of parallel to the outline of the heart. So that serves as a guide of how curved it should be. Bam. Now for the other one to match. This is probably going to be the hardest part of this look so far. Okay, you know what? Not bad. Now I just need to thicken this line. It's really handy just following the outline of the heart. Not too bad. Thank God. I'm going to do one last thing with the white liner, and that's just doing some reflex on the lips. So I'm going to do one on the top lip over here. And if this was black face paint underneath, it would probably mix with the white. But since it's a lipstick that's pretty transfer proof, I can go in with a white over top it, no problem. And then I'm going to do a little dot on the bottom lip and a line as well. Oh, that looks so cool. Okay, only a couple things left to do. Now I'm going to do the only bit of shading in the entire look, and that's right under the brow and also on my nose. I'm gonna start with a brow. I'm going in with the Black Moon Cosmetics Orb of Light palette because it's got this really, really great dark red and a beautiful black, but I'm gonna start with the dark red as like my transition shade, and I'm going to apply that close to the brow. I'm using this before I go in with the black to help create a nice and smooth gradient. Being mindful not to get any fallout on the rest of my face, so I'm not taking a lot on my brush. And it is like tricky to blend shadows over top of brow cover up, but adding the Prosade on top helps with that a little bit. And I'm going to use a little tiny brush to be really precise with the application right here. I want to kind of extend that brow down with the shading and then just blend that out so it creates the illusion that this part is sunken in. That's the whole idea behind this. So I'm basically creating a new bridge to my nose up here. I'm also going to use this little brush to get closer to my brow than I was able to get with the other brush. Even though I am going to be using black over here, I want it to be as uniform as possible. So again, just going right here and extending that brow down. Now I'm going to take the black on the other side of this brush, which is like a little tiny fluffy brush, and I'm going to apply that super close to the brow and slowly blend that down. I just want to create a very soft gradient, as soft as possible. And I probably won't go much darker than this because otherwise the brow will just disappear into the shading, and I don't want that. I want the brow to still be darker than the darkest point of this shading, if that makes sense. Okay, and then now I'm just going to shade under my nose with the black. I'm going to kind of fade the edges a little bit, and I want to kind of round out this tip, and I'll do my nostrils as well, just because I kind of just want to like round this out. I don't want it to look like an animal nose. I'm just trying to get this area to kind of like not look like a human nose anymore and look just like a little U shape. Okay, now I just have to finish up the eyes, and for that I'm going to line my waterline with two different colors. I'm going to be using white where there's white, and then black only where the pupil is. So I'm using the NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk, basically on the outer corners of my waterline, and then the inner corner as well. And that will help with that illusion. And I'm just stamping some of that white shadow wherever the liner got under my eye, because it kind of spreads to under your eye as well, not just the waterline. So I'm just setting that. And then using a little black liner so that I can have more precision, I'm going in only where that pupil is. Oh, one thing that I forgot to do, but there's still time, I'm going to take some of that black shadow on the little pencil brush and just stamp it right over the pupil to mattify it and fill in any little area that has maybe shifted a little bit. Now I'm just doing some mascara, being very careful not to get any on my bottom lashes. Honestly, I don't think this look needed mascara, but I'm just adding some because why not? Might as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and put on some fake lashes off camera, and I'll be back to show you the finished look. And this is the finished look. I am super happy with how this turned out. I decided to put on a shirt with a little white collar just cause, and then I put on these earrings by Depop. It's a little one-woman operated shop. Her stuff is super cool. I've worn some of her earrings here on the channel before. So for my lashes, I actually used two pairs because because I wanted them to go wider than my actual eye, so they start way past my eye and end after my eye. So on the outside end, I used the Libra lashes from Black Moon Cosmetics, and then on the inside, I used number 302 by Monda, and they're both very kind of like spiky and cartoony lashes, so they really work for this design, and I am just so happy with how this turned out. I love the boldness of it. I love the simplicity as well. Another thing that's really cool about these lips is the way they look when I frown. It looks so cartoony. I think it's so cute. I think it's really striking, and I'm so glad that I finally got to do this. I've literally been wanting to do this like maybe for over a year, and I just never got around to it. I think I didn't even do a Valentine's Day look last year. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this look. Let me know if you want to see more stuff like this, if you want to see me start recreating tattoos again in the form of makeup. And I do apologize if I've been a little quiet here on the channel, if I miss a video here or there, but as I said, I am training to become a tattoo artist, so I have been spending some of my time doing that. So I've missed a video here and there, but I'm going to try to get back on track. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I hope you have or had a nice Valentine's Day if you celebrate it. If not, I think this is the perfect anti-Valentine's Day look. When Adam saw this, he was like, "Oh, why are you sad? Is it because I'm working on Valentine's Day?" And I was like, "What? You're working on Valentine's Day?" So I'm gonna spend my Valentine's Day alone, even though I'm married, so that's fun. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to all my patrons who support me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!